You know what, Chandler? Calvin used to make me feel like I was drowning in the best way possible. With you, I feel like I'm floating in a kiddie pool, safe, shallow and boring as hell. I keep wondering if this is really what love is supposed to feel like, or if I'm just settling because you're convenient. Maybe Calvin is better for me. There it was. She just called our 3-year relationship boring, called me convenient, and said her ex was better for hair in a restaurant. I sat there for probably 30 seconds just staring at her. She looked nervous now, like she was starting to realize what she had just said, but she didn't take it back. Alright, I said finally. Well, now nothing's stopping you. Her face went white. I told her she had just said her ex was better for her, so she should go be with him, but not while living in my house. She tried to backtrack, but I was done. I dropped $40 on the table and told her I was going home and expected her to be packing when I got there. The drive home was surreal. 3 years together, engaged for 6 months, and she basically just told me I was her consolation prize. Some jackass who dumped her in college was a better option than the guy who bought her a house to live in, and was about to marry her. I kept replaying what she said, drowning in the best way possible versus floating in a kiddie pool. Safe, shallow, and boring. Convenient. Those words were going to be stuck in my head for a long time. When I got home, she was on the couch crying, but I was done with her tears. I told her to start packing her stuff. She tried to argue, but I went to the kitchen and canceled our joint checking account on my phone while she was talking. I called my bank too, to make sure she couldn't access anything else. It took her about 2 hours to pack. I didn't help, just sat at the kitchen table and let her figure it out. When she was done, she stood by the door with her suitcases, looking at me like she expected me to change my mind. She asked if I wanted the engagement ring back and set it on the coffee table when I said yes. Before leaving, she said, "It's crazy to throw away 3 years over one conversation." "You're the one who threw it away," I told her. "I'm just cleaning up the mess." And that was it. She left, and I was suddenly single again after 3 years sitting in my house that was way too quiet, looking at an engagement ring on my coffee table, wondering what just happened. The next morning, the phone calls started. First was my mom, then my sister Sasha, then my dad. Word travels fast when you're supposed to get married in 2 months and suddenly your fiancé moves out. I kept it simple with all of them. I told them Erica decided she wanted to be with someone else and I wasn't going to compete for my own fiancé. My parents were pissed on my behalf. My mom wanted to know if there was another man involved, and when I told her about Calvin, she went off about how Erica was throwing away a good thing for a fantasy. My dad was more practical, asking if I needed help with any of the wedding vendors or canceling stuff. Sasha just called Erica an idiot, which honestly made me feel better. The hardest call was from Erica's parents. Her mom called me crying, begging me to work things out with her daughter. She kept saying that Erica was just confused and scared about getting married, that it was normal to have doubts. I tried to explain that this wasn't about wedding jitters, but she wouldn't listen. Her dad left me a voicemail saying I was giving up too easily and that relationships take work. I didn't call either of them back. What was I supposed to say? That their daughter told me I was boring and convenient compared to her ex, that she had been emotionally cheating for weeks. They wouldn't want to hear that anyway. My mutual friends were the tricky part. Within a few days, people started reaching out asking what happened. I made a decision early on that I wasn't going to trash talk Erica, but I also wasn't going to lie to protect her feelings. When people asked, I just said, "Ask Erica about Calvin," and left it at that. That simple phrase told them everything they needed to know. Those people aren't stupid to figure out what happened from there. Honestly, I wanted her to have to explain herself. I wanted her to tell our friends why she threw away our relationship for her college ex. Word spread fast. Our friend group isn't huge, maybe 15 people total, and within a week, pretty much everyone knew the basic story. The reactions were mixed but mostly in my favor. The guys were all on my side. They understood why I couldn't stay with someone who basically called me her backup plan. Some of the women thought I was being too harsh and that I should have tried counseling or given her time to figure out her feelings. But screw that noise. I'm not going to counseling to convince someone to choose me over their ex. I'm not going to sit around while my fiancée figures out her feelings about whether she wants to be with me or some other dude. That's not how this works. The worst part was dealing with all the wedding stuff. We had already put deposits down on everything: venue, catering, photographer, DJ, flowers. Some vendors were understanding when I explained the situation. The photographer was cool about it, saying she had been doing weddings for 20 years and had seen it all before. She only charged me a small cancellation fee. Others were less sympathetic. The venue kept our entire deposit, saying it was too late to rebook for our date. The caterer wanted to charge us for food we had already ordered. All told, I was out about $8,000 in deposits and cancellation fees. $8,000 for the privilege of finding out my fiancé thought I was boring. But here's the thing, I didn't ask Erica to help with any of the financial hit. I could have taken her to small claims court for half the costs, but I wanted a clean break. The money sucked to lose, but it was worth it to not have to deal with her anymore. The vendors weren't even the hardest part. It was calling all our friends and family to let them know the wedding was off. These conversations were brutal. Everyone wanted more details, wanted to know if there was any chance we would work things out. The weirdest reaction came from some of the teachers at Erica's school. 3 different women reached out to me, not to defend Erica, but to check on me and basically say she had screwed up. These are people who work with her every day, and they were taking my side. That told me everything I needed to know about how she was handling the situation at work. Apparently, she had been telling people that we grew apart and had different visions for the future, typical stuff to make herself look better. But teachers are smart, and they could probably see right through her story. Plus, if she was acting weird at work the same way she was acting weird at home, they probably knew something was up. About 2 weeks after she moved out, I heard through a friend that Erica had been posting on social media about following your heart and not settling for less than you deserve. That pissed me off more than anything. She was making it sound like I was the one who wasn't good enough, like she had outgrown me or some nonsense. But I didn't respond, didn't post anything about my side of the story, didn't try to set the record straight publicly. I figured the truth would come out eventually, and getting into a social media war with my ex-fiancee wasn't going to help anyone. The hardest part was just being alone in the house again. For over a year, I had gotten used to having someone there when I got home from work, someone to cook dinner with, watch TV with, talk about my day with. Suddenly, it was just me and way too much quiet. I threw myself into work, picking up extra shifts whenever I could. Staying busy helped, and the overtime pay would help make up for the money I had lost on wedding deposits. My partner at work, Mike, knew what was going on and was cool about covering for me when I needed to make vendor calls or deal with wedding stuff. The guys at work were supportive too. A couple of them had been through divorces and told me I was lucky to find out who she really was before I married her instead of after. They were right, but it still sucked. About 3 weeks after everything went down, I was starting to feel like maybe I could move on. The immediate shock and anger were wearing off, and I was beginning to think about what I wanted to do next. Maybe travel somewhere I had always wanted to go, maybe renovate the house, maybe just focus on work and figure out the rest later. That's when everything got a whole lot more interesting. For about 6 weeks after everything went down, my life was actually pretty good. I know that sounds weird considering I had just had my engagement blown up, but hear me out. Once I got past the initial shock and anger, I realized how much stress had been lifted off my shoulders. No more wondering why she was being distant or secretive with her phone. No more wedding planning stress or arguing about guest lists and centerpiece. I could come home from work and just relax without having to analyze every conversation for hidden meaning. I had blocked Erica's number and all her social media right after she moved out. So, if she was trying to contact me, I wouldn't know. Honestly, I didn't want to know. She had made her choice clear as day when she told me Calvin was better for her. As far as I was concerned, she could go live happily ever after with her college ex and leave me alone. Around this time, I started talking to a nurse from the ER named Veronica. It was nothing serious at first, just casual conversation during downtime between calls. She was cool, though funny, smart, and definitely easy on the eyes. More importantly, she didn't seem to have any crazy ex-boyfriend drama going on. The contrast was pretty stark. Veronica would laugh at my stupid jokes, ask questions about my work, and remember details from previous conversations, all the basic relationship stuff that Erica had stopped doing months before our breakup. It made me realize how checked out Erica had really been toward the end. I wasn't looking to jump into anything serious right away, and Veronica seemed to understand that. We were just two people enjoying each other's company without any pressure or expectations. It was refreshing as hell after years of relationship drama and wedding planning stress. Then one afternoon, my buddy Joey called me laughing. I was at home doing some work around the house when my phone rang, and I could barely understand him at first because he was cracking up so hard. Dude, he finally managed to get it out. You're not going to believe this. Joey works with a guy whose girlfriend is friends with one of Erica's teacher friends. Small world, lots of connections. Anyway, word had gotten back to him about what happened with Erica and Calvin.